SwissBorg is the official partner of my channel where you can buy, sell, hold, and more importantly stake your cryptocurrencies. You can even earn yield on your stablecoins. Sign up with my link and you'll earn up to $100 worth of their native token CHSB just for depositing €50 worth of crypto. SwissBorg. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin as it is the last day of the month, so September is almost over, and look, that doesn't necessarily mean that the potential wrecked city side of September is over. We could still go there, but for the moment, like, it's not been too bad. If we just zoom in on this month, again, that we've been sitting this month out for pretty much the vast majority of this month. Very little trades have been taking place here. It was always the intention to just play it safe, see where we go, and to be honest, I still feel a little bit that way moving into next month. We can have a look at this monthly candle at the moment. This is it's not perfect, but this kind of sums it all up, really. This is called your spinning top, so it's an indecisive candle. If we close this candle like this, which we probably will do, even if we move up, we're probably going to close a candle in a spinning top fashion. It's basically saying, I don't know which way I'm going to go, to be honest with you, mate. I absolutely have no idea. I could go up, I could go down. The only way I'm not going to go is to the left. So, with that in mind, we bring it down to the shorter term time frames, and it is the same old, same old. Look, we've been in this range now since the 22nd, really, since we broke back down within it. Below this major box, potentially downside more likely. Above this major box, which ends at 19,750, we'll call it, upside more likely. At this very moment, at the time of recording, we're right in the center of the box. So it's not the end of the world, because I remember yesterday we were looking at this and the moving averages were actually moving into that box itself. So let's just have a look at how we're responding to those so far. So a rejection so far on and this is just today, by the way, so a rejection so far on the center of this Bollinger Band, so your 20 simple moving average, and yesterday a rejection on the 21 exponential moving average. They more or less, as far as I'm concerned, do the same thing. Above them, good. Below them, bad. So we are pushing that resistance. We have been these last few days. Spiky, spike, spike, spike. And like I say, if we can clear this box on the daily, it actually does make me pretty bullish, actually, to be honest with you, because the only thing above us here on the daily would be this 50 exponential moving average, and then your Bollinger Band. So I reckon that with the way that this is continuously pushing up over the last few days, despite the rejections, we're still hammering those resistances. We're knocking on the door. And usually the way it works is the more times you hit a support, and the more times you hit a resistance, the more likely it is to break. At the moment, the momentum still continues to be up on the daily. Let's just check the 4-hourly to see how that looks. It's kind of a little bit, I would say, zero momentum at the moment. It's kind of, the buyers and the sellers are coming in equal fashion, and that makes sense considering it's such a boring tight range. That's obviously the wicks to the up are quite high, the wicks to the down are quite high, which means that sellers coming in here and buyers coming in here. So there is a real battle taking place at the moment, which makes me believe that if we do break across this level, and when we do break above 19,700, we'll call it 19,800, just to get that little bit above. When we're talking about things like shorts being liquidated, a short squeeze or whatever you want to call it, but basically liquidation events which break down the walls to allow for a larger move. So we'll call it, 4-hourly closures, 19,800. Should start to see continuation, probably even quite fast, like we've seen in these previous attempts when we actually closed above here as well. So we really started to see big, powerful moves back up, and obviously powerful moves back down. So Bitcoin actually looks okay, despite this very moment in time hanging around below the major area of resistance, which is obviously, we have to give bias to the bears at that stage. We are literally getting tightened and tightened and tightened. And let me just have a look at the shorter term timer, like an hourly, see how tight these Bollinger Bands are printing right now. Actually, the hourly, for what it's worth, has just got a pump signal generated on it as well. Again, don't mistake this hourly for anything else that I've just said about moving back up to the top of the Bollinger Band, 21,000 towards 22. An hourly pump signal is not likely to do that on its own, so just don't misinterpret that. But there is an hourly pump signal, so maybe I think today we are going to get upside. Bollinger Bands aren't pinching particularly tight. They're reasonably tight from bottom to top there, 3%. So
Yeah, it actually does look quite good for continuation here, I would say, just based on everything that we've seen. It just needs to close above 19,800 to give it that kind of power, so I'm actually in favour of it. So let's just have a quick look at FX market. I know it's boring, but it's got to be done. So the euro bouncing from support, that's good. The pound really bouncing from support, that's good as well. Remember, again, I am actually, until further notice, kind of a perma bear on pound and euro. I think we're having a very significant reaction from the area that I specified. 106 for the pound, 10 and 96 for the euro. Those are obvious kind of biddy areas, and that has had an impact on the Dixie. The Dixie has started to trend down a little bit. But if you were around yesterday, you would have noticed that the Nasdaq actually came down, so Dixie down. And indexes down. The reason that the indexes came down wasn't so much about the inverse effect or the lack of with the Dixie, because you'd normally imagine to see Dixie move up with this kind of move down on Nasdaq. Things aren't black and white, by the way. I'm sure you know that. Then the main thing that took the Nasdaq down was its main player being Apple. They're expecting less demand for their new products. I think it's slashed by 50%, and so they're expecting less earnings, basically. So it was a fundamentals type read, and Apple more or less dominates the Nasdaq. It was propping the Nasdaq up as all the other little smaller stocks within it were really crashing, and I mean like down to these levels, down to pre-pandemic lows, post-pandemic lows, and the Nasdaq was being held up by the big boys, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, and Amazon, the ones that we played on the everything bounce, yeah. This time around, it's the opposite. So the big boys are actually bringing the Nasdaq down, despite Dixie coming down and currencies trading in the opposite way. So things are never as simple as follow the Dixie, especially when it comes to stocks, and I guess crypto as well. So what I would say is that, yeah, we closed down almost 3% on the Nasdaq, but actually maintained a more or less static sideways view for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's correlation to Dixie is still reasonably high, and for the moment it broke away from the Nasdaq, because the Nasdaq has basically said, don't worry, it's a problem with Apple, and just forget about it. It's just Apple. Don't worry about us. Apple have messed up here. You don't need to trend with us today. It's fine. Unless there's an Apple crypto, which there isn't yet. Maybe there will be one day. So yeah, long story short, I'll probably be looking for a bit of a bounce on Nasdaq anyway, as that was a pretty sharp sell-off there. And especially with the Dixie hanging around at those levels, and the pound and the euro looking around those levels. Now, if we think about supports and stroke resistances for these bad boys, because again, I am a perma bear, we would really be thinking to be honest with you, there's a chance that the euro does start to reject around these levels now. It might not. It might move all the way back up to parity. But for the moment, we do have to entertain this as a realistic area, given the fact that there's boxy zones around here. And the pound, well, I mean, I'm very impressed with this bounce on the pound so far, although I have to say I'm not particularly convinced it will make its way above this zone. If it did, be shorting around 115 probably, but again, you can't short or long these. Well, yeah, I suppose you could have longed these. We did say that these were major supports that would have a reaction, so I suppose that could have been done in hindsight, but I'm not particularly interested in longing and shorting into the FX market while central bankers are doing extraordinary things. They don't know what they're doing. It's a proper wild card right now when it comes to the FX market. The TA side of this would suggest further down all the way, but these crazy guys, crazy men and women, at the helm of the central bank buttons that they like to press, they're prepared to press any old thing these days. They will do anything, I reckon. So it's such a wild card scenario that it's not really worth trying to play it unless we start to go down once again, and then you could probably just catch yourself a short. But yeah, everything's working out in the theory I had, which is that bounce around here, rejection around here. Nasdaq obviously has fallen out of my my general viewpoint because of what happened with with Apple yesterday, but it can still bounce again from the level it's at right now. The weekly has not yet closed below the 200 weekly moving average, so there is a chance we bounce from here as well. And Bitcoin looking good, to be honest, on the 1 hourly and pushing that area on the daily. So yeah, fair play to it all. There is still a chance that this last bounce before the crash will continue. I like it. I like it. Okay, so maybe look for some positions potentially over. I'd probably say, to be safe, but probably next week. But we might even see a tearing up move today. You know, pushing up into the 20,000s, into the 21s. Upper 21s, similar, but with more power than what happened previously, and maybe that's where we gain momentum from. I think there is a lot to think about when it comes to trading Bitcoin right now, especially with the Nasdaq working, opposite to Bitcoin. But if we take the chart on face value, a reprieve is more or less ready for today, I would say. Just closing above that zone should be enough to move up into the 21,000s, I'd say, over probably quite a short space of time. Right, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and if you want to join the Patreon, we're doing the live stream tonight. We do 2 a week. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day and take it easy.